Hi everyone, this is Ashley with CT and Runa Digitals. I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how to use my new dust and glitter bokeh overlays in Photoshop. I have open one of my overlays that I know I'm going to be using for these images. I'm going to edit a few different ones, and then I'm going to use a different method to overlay them for some of the other ones, just to show you a couple different ways to apply them to your image. But for this one, I have opened the images I want to use already in Photoshop, and I just opened the overlay that I want to use in Photoshop. So for this one, I'm just going to select all, edit and copy, and edit and paste into my image. And then I'm going to zoom out. My sample image is way smaller than my overlay, so I'm going to resize here to get it close. I'm going to come over here and change my blending mode to screen so I can see my image here, and then I'm just going to position this in a way where I want it to be. And now, since I'm not overlaying the entire image over my whole initial image, I'm going to have a little bit of cutoffs of the bokeh here, like this one up here by her eye. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a layer mask and use a black soft brush at 100% opacity and just brush off the very edges of that overlay layer there, so I don't have any bokeh that has any sharp lines or cutoffs. And then I'm going to also brush it off in areas that I don't necessarily want it, and that I would be done with this one. So for the next one, I'm going to do one for this. I'm going to go up to File, I'm going to go to Place Embedded, and then you could just navigate to the folder wherever your files are saved. I like to do it this way if I want to switch between overlays quickly, and I just want to go through which ones if I don't know which one I want to use yet. So I kind of want to do one that's kind of centered, focused in the center for this one. Probably maybe rainbow. Go ahead and resize just a little bit. Change my blending mode to screen. You're always going to have to change your blending mode to screen with these ones. I actually really like this one for this one, so maybe I'll switch back and forth for a different image. And then again, I don't have it over. If I had it over covering my whole image, I wouldn't need to brush anything off. But I want to have this one a little bit more focused towards the center where she's blowing the glitter out of her hands. So as you can see, it's going to cut off a little bit more. So I'm just going to create a layer mask and brush those edges off again where it cut off that bokeh. And I would probably be done with this one too. Maybe brush a little bit more off of her eyes. Okay, next image. So this one I'm going to, again, go up to File and Place Embedded. Now you could try to match, I want to try to match the color to her dress, and there are some in here that are already colored. But if you want to change the color on them, so I'm just going to click one that's mostly gold. Go ahead and resize here, and I'm going to change the blending mode to screen. And I could leave this as gold, but if you want to change the color, you can go to your adjustments and add a hue saturation layer, or you could come up here to your image and adjustments and do it from there, however you like to do it. I have these over here in my panel. If you want to add it to your panel, you can just go to Window and make sure your adjustments is selected, and it'll pop up over here. I'm going to add a hue adjustment layer, and I'm going to click this button right here, which is going to create a clipping mask, so it only applies to my overlay and not to my initial image. And then you can either just slide the hue slider here, but if you have an overlay that has two different color bokehs in it, say there's like a gold and a blue, sliding the hue slider is going to change both of those. So you can either go up here and focus your color. Actually, I'll show that on a different one. You can just change. I'm just going to change the hue slider for this image, and I just want a pretty purple that is going to match her dress a little bit. I'm going to bring down the saturation just a little bit, bring down my lightness. Actually, I don't really probably want to bring down my lightness at all. I don't like how that makes it look. It doesn't make it look that realistic. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of an exposure layer too, just to brighten that up a little bit. And then I can go ahead and merge these layers. I'm going to have to change the blending mode again, back to screen. create that layer mask, and then brush off wherever I don't want it. I would probably add a little bit more light to my initial image too. There we go. Okay, so this would be good for this one if this is the one I wanted to use and to change the color. I just want to show real quick if I use a different color, to File, Place Embedded. If I do a multicolor one, I wouldn't use this one for this image. I just want to show you, because see how this one has blue and gold in it. So if I were to change the blending mode to screen, you could go up to add that hue saturation layer and then clip it. And then if I wanted to keep the gold and just change the blue, I could go to my master and I usually use cyans instead of blues, because blues doesn't usually do very much. And then if you change your hue slider, then it's just going to change the color of your blues there to a different color. Sometimes it works good, other times it might look a little wonky. If you're wanting to change the entire color, you can put that back to 0, go back to master, and you could click this colorize button right here, and that's going to change the color of the entire overlay. And then you can change it from there. So if I wanted to do a purple for this one, increase the saturation quite a bit on that one, that is another way that you can just change the entire color of it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back because I wanted to use that other one. Here we go. And I would leave this one as is. If you're wanting to, if you decide you want to switch between again and kind of go back and forth and see what other ones look like, and it's no longer a smart object to place embedded or replace contents, you can go right click and go to convert to smart object, right click again and go to replace contents, and then pick a different one. This is why I was using the place embedded. I don't know if I actually showed that or not. That's the whole reason why I did it with place embedded. So I'll show that on the next one. This one's really pretty in gold too. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to add some brightness to this image as well. It's pretty dark. Okay, go up to File and Place Embedded. I want to use a gold one for this one. I want to kind of use a minimal one. Maybe use one like this and brush it off if I want. Okay, I'm gonna change the blending mode to screen. And maybe I don't. This one kind of has a light coming down, which doesn't really work for this image. So with doing that place embedded like I just did before, it automatically creates that smart object for you. So you can just right click and replace contents and switch between different. Here's a minimal one. You can switch between quicker. And now this one's kind of more of a silver, so I can go up to my hue saturation, click that colorize button, and make sure you create that clipping mask. See, it applied to the whole image, but if you click that clipping mask, it just applies to your overlay. And then I'm gonna bring down my lightness a little bit. There we go. I could do a good green glitter. I want it to be gold though. I'm gonna increase the saturation. Okay, and then I'm also going to add an exposure layer and create that clipping mask just to brighten up that bokeh just a little bit. And then I'm going to merge those 3 layers, change the blending mode back to screen, create that layer mask, and then brush it off. I don't really like that one up there either, or this one. Kind of wanted it just right here over her dress. And I would be done. You can overlay as many as you want. So if you wanted to if you wanted to add another one to this, maybe one with gold and green, you go up to File again, Place Embedded again, and look through them. Kind of small, so I can't really see which ones have some green. This one has some green in it, which is pretty. Resize. I don't really want this portion in there, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Change my blending mode to screen. Okay, oops, I don't want to rasterize that. Okay, overlay that one, create a layer mask, and brush off the more distracting ones. And then that added I like how that looks a lot better than just adding the one I did before. And you can literally add as many as you want. You can change colors if you add a hue saturation. Just make sure you do that clipping mask so it only applies to whichever one you're trying to apply it to. If you wanted to merge these two together, you could merge them, change the blending mode, and then you could add your hue saturation and kind of play around with that. Create that clipping mask. Play around with that and the different colors that you can do. So pretty versatile. Just make sure you change that blending mode to screen to make it transparent, and then tried all kinds of different overlays, different colors and everything to see what works for your image. If you have any questions, you can send me a message. If you are a studio photographer, I would love for you to join my group on Facebook. I will link it in the description. If you are wanting more free tutorials like this one and how to use the products, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel to be notified when new videos are added.